Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at noon. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. Senate President Godswill Akpabio decries influx of hoodlums into National Assembly complex. NAD insists strike continues until federal government meets demands. Plus, European Union suspends security cooperation and budgetary aid for Niger following coup. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news this afternoon, President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio has expressed concern over the influx of hoodlums into the National Assembly complex, stressing that lawmakers now feel threatened by their presence. He said as the 10th National Assembly settles down for legislative activities, hoodlums and people who do not have any business in the premises loiter all over the Senate and the reps' wings, begging and constituting a security breach against lawmakers and staff of the National Assembly. Akpabio spoke while hosting members of the National Assembly Service Commission NASC, who paid a courtesy call on him at the National Assembly complex in Abuja. The Senate President's complaints followed remarks by the chairman of the NASC, Ahmed Kadi Amshi, who presented the challenges faced by the Commission and other issues to him. In reaction to the issues of staff allowances raised by the Commission's chairman, Akpabio said he was aware of enormous resources channeled towards staff comfort, adding that everything was not about the welfare of staff. Decrying the infrastructural decay, filthiness and insecurity at the complex, the Senate President said there were cases of lawmakers losing their telephones and other valuables to hoodlums who positioned themselves at strategic places and in front of offices. He also lamented the infrastructural rot and untidy environment in which the 10th Assembly operates. Well, the senior special assistant to the President on National Assembly matters, Senator Abdullahi Gomel, has asked the ministerial nominees to complete their documentation. In a statement, Senator Gomel said the documentation for all ministerial nominees has commenced. The nominees were asked to visit the office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senate, at the National Assembly complex between Friday 28th and Sunday 30th July for necessary documentation ahead of screening, which commences on Monday, July 31, 2023. The statement read that the office will be open on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For this purpose, this is to enable all nominees complete the process before the screening. Now, the Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance, Senator Dafinone, noted that there is a likelihood of tougher economic times, especially in the next 6 months, because the price of petrol is expected to continue rising. He, however, told Nigerians that despite the difficult economic situation, they should keep hope alive, as the challenges would soon fizzle out. Dafinone, representing Delta Central in the National Assembly on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, stated this yesterday during a reception held in honor of federal lawmakers in the 10th National Assembly of Urhobo Extraction, organized by the Urhobo Leadership Forum in Abuja. Dafinone described subsidy as a necessary evil that required clinical amputation to save the nation from the brinks of a full-blown economic collapse. According to him, the criticisms trailing the removal of the fuel subsidy by President Bola Tinubu were not fair, adding that all political parties agreed during the campaign that the subsidy had to go. Dafinone said that Nigerians should not blame the president for removing the subsidy without a plan, recalling that marketers had removed the subsidy before the president had a chance to formally remove it. Well, from the Green Chambers, some lawmakers have dismissed the rumored rancor among members following the composition of the 10th House of Representatives Standing Committees by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas on July 27. The group, numbering 6 lawmakers, including the Deputy Chief of Staff to the Speaker, Chamberlain Dunko, dispelled the rumor at a joint press conference in Abuja. Ikenga Ugochinyere, the spokesperson for the group, said the composition was fair, adding that the Speaker put the interest of members above personal or pecuniary gains. He said the Speaker exhibited justice and fairness, adding that all interest groups in the House were satisfied because the composition was done without any external influence. Ugochinyere claimed the Speaker is living up to the expectations of the lawmakers, which is why a majority are commending his leadership style. Claiming that the Parliament was more united than ever, he said the Standing Committee membership cuts across different interest groups, including those who contested the speakership position with Abbas. He added that their frontline supporters were equally considered for committee chairmanship, further submitting that the composition was a reflection of the unity that existed in the House. On day 4 of its total and indefinite strike action, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NAD) has restated its position as it insists that the federal government has yet to accept their demands. The NAD President Dr. Emeka Orji, during a press conference in Lagos State to review the industrial action declared earlier last week, pledged to continue the nationwide strike until reasonable progress is made by the government to address its demands, as contained in the ultimatum issued to the federal government on the 15th of July 2023. While reeling out the demands, Orji stated that it was the appeal of the National Executive Committee (NEC) that the federal and state governments urgently resolve the demands to forestall the further escalation of the ongoing industrial disharmony in the health sector nationwide. NAD represents around 15,000 resident doctors out of a total of more than 40,000 doctors in the country. But the union seems to be alone in the struggle, as its parent body, the Nigerian Medical Association (NMA), is not on strike. Well, the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, has reiterated the need to restore peace and put an end to insurgency in the southeast, while echoing calls for the extradition of Finland-based separatist Simon Ekpa over the illegal Monday sit-at-home order. This came a day after the Senate condemned the order under the enforcement of a faction of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, appealing to the federal government to collaborate with the Finnish government to extradite Ekpa to Nigeria for prosecution. Uzodinma revealed his position during a familiarization visit from the new General Officer commanding 82 Division Enugu, Major General Hassan Dada, at the Government House in Owerri, the Imo State capital. The governor hoped that the security agencies, particularly the military working with the federal government, will be able to either bring Simon Ekpa back to Nigeria to also sit at home or be made to face the wrath of the law. In a similar vein, the governor met with traditional rulers and community leaders at the headquarters of the Traditional Rulers Council in Owerri, where he called for their support in stemming the tide of insecurity and supporting the government and security agencies in fighting crime. He urged them to shun any sit-at-home order and go about their lawful businesses. Away from that, the governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, has approved the payment of another batch of half-salary arrears owed by the administration of one of his predecessors, Rauf Aragbeshola. The move is part of efforts by Adeleke to settle the salary debts of state workers and support them in line with the 2022 governorship campaign promise. The governor's spokesperson, Olawale Rashid, revealed this in a statement made available to journalists in Osogbo, the Osun State capital. The new settlement of half-salary arrears would be the third by the governor, in line with the template issued early this year to pay the debts on a quarterly basis. The administration has paid those of the first and second quarters, while workers are to receive the third quarter payment alongside their July salary. Now, the Ondo State government has proposed the creation of 33 new local council development areas, LCDAs, in the state. The Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Bamidele Demola Olateju, disclosed this during a press briefing, where he said that the State Executive Council approved the creation of the LCDAs. According to Demola Olateju, the expansion reflects the government's commitment to decentralization and improving governance at the grassroots level. With 18 statutory local council areas in the state, the number of councils in the state will swell to 51 if the proposal gets the nod of the state legislature. Charles Titiloye, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, while giving an insight into the proposed new LCDAs and their operation, stated that the LCDAs would perform the same functions as the existing 18 councils in the state. Titiloye stated that to bring the proposal into effect, the government has already taken the necessary steps, as the enabling law for establishing the new LCDAs has been forwarded to the State House of Assembly for enactment. The Justice Commissioner maintained that the legislative process will ensure the proposal is properly reviewed and debated before being enacted into law. In 2019, Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu received recommendations for creating additional council areas in the state from an 11-member committee set up by the government to determine the necessary procedures for establishing new LCDAs. Now, from Anambra State, Governor Chukwuma Soludo has terminated the contract with Tech Engineering Nigeria Limited, the contractor handling the Niger Street Road project rehabilitation in Onitsha. A statement by the governor's press secretary, Christian Aburime, on Saturday indicated that Soludo terminated the 2.17 kilometers Niger Street Road, Fege, with a 1.1 kilometers flood control channel contract when he paid an unscheduled inspection visit to the project site. Soludo took the action when he discovered that the contractor was not keeping to the timelines and agreement reached before the contract was awarded. He accused the contractors of negligence and lack of capacity to deliver on the job. The governor gave assurance that another contractor will be engaged to execute the job and reiterated that street trading has been banned in the state, as new markets are being built where street traders can stay and trade. He also inspected Ose Market, Bida Road, Emodi Street, Oduibo Ochanja Market, Fege, Onitsha South Stadium and Creek Road, all in Onitsha. Now from the power sector, where the Institution of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, has warned that a hike in electricity tariff would further worsen the misery of Nigerians, especially small and medium enterprises. Dr. Innocent Okwosa, the president of ICANN, made this known in a statement. Recall that the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, had said 11 electricity distribution companies had written a letter to the government requesting tariff reviews. Innocent Okwosa said any move to increase electricity tariff will hurt businesses and Nigerians directly. He advised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's federal government to stall any proposal to hike electricity tariff because Nigerians are still grappling with fuel price increments, forex challenges, and many economic woes. The Senate and House of Assembly had also called on the NERC to suspend any plans to hike electricity tariffs. Elsewhere, Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano State has reaffirmed the commitment of his administration in the fight against the polio virus in the state. This is contained in a statement issued by the press secretary to the Deputy Governor Ibrahim Shuaibu on Saturday in Kano. Yusuf made this pledge during the official launch of polio vaccination in Gabasawa local government area on Saturday, represented by his deputy Aminu Guarazo. The governor expressed concern over the resurgence of polio in 26 states of the Federation, including Kano State. Yusuf disclosed that the decision to start the campaign in Gabasawa was due to its having the highest ratio of unvaccinated children in the state, as per health reports. He said that already international donors, WHO, UNICEF, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the African Field Epidemiology Network, Clinton Health Access Initiative, Dangote Foundation, and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency have provided resources to support the ongoing fight against the polio virus. Yusuf also renewed the commitment of the state government towards providing state-of-the-art equipment to all state-owned health institutions. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Abubakar Labaran, urged parents to cooperate and ensure their children receive proper vaccination. He also announced that the Kano Primary Healthcare Development Agency would begin distributing syringes for vaccination across the 44 council areas. Labaran, however, appealed to the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency to provide more vaccines to the state, not only for under 5 children, but also for over 20 million people, including pregnant women. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has directed the State Environmental Protection and Waste Management Agency, ACSEBWA, to commence immediate desilting of gutters in Atiku Abubakar to ensure a perpetual end to the perennial flooding problem on the avenue. To this end, the governor has approved the desilting of drainage on the avenue and the construction of the adjoining Afaube Street with side drains to link Ikolikpana Road with immediate effect. Governor Eno gave the directives yesterday at Atiku Abubakar by Afaube U-turn, where he made a stopover for an on-the-spot inspection of the flood disaster. He directed the chairman, Akwa Ibom State Environmental Protection and Waste Management Agency at Sebwa, Prince Akban Ikem, to ensure immediate commencement of work to evacuate the flood and restore free flow of traffic along the road. Explaining that the visit was in response to calls from residents of the area and various other quarters in the state, Governor Eno reiterated his commitment to serving the people and said he will stop at nothing in ensuring a lasting remedy to the flood disaster and its attendant inconveniences to the people of the area and road users. This, he affirmed, was in line with the mandate bestowed on him by the people and his administration's Arise agenda. Meanwhile, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has charged the newly inaugurated members of the State Executive Council on effective implementation of their ministerial responsibilities. The governor, who gave the charge during the inaugural Executive Council meeting held at the State ESCO Chambers Government House, Suyo, urged them to ensure that every item on the Arise agenda which falls under their ministry must be handled according to the timelines and objective. Briefing Government House correspondents shortly after the meeting, the State Commissioner for Information, Comrade Inni Emamobong, said Governor Eno also urged them to ensure that every action of his government must have a human face, as humanity must be the central focus of the execution of his administration's business. Government House correspondent Jainawa reports that Emamobong also said that ESCO, however, appreciated the support of all critical stakeholders during the just concluded Ibom Dialogue and launch of Arise agenda, and reiterated their commitment to its implementation.
Of course, His Excellency the Governor, being a pastor, also needed to start with dedication. When we're done with that, His Excellency took time to admonish ESCO members, set some ground rules, and to charge ESCO members to be very serious. This is the beginning of an administration, and having chosen to begin with us, he expects to have double the mileage he would have had if he brought new people, because new people would have had to learn on the job. But almost everyone, except few changes, almost everyone had to go back to their ministry. So there is absolutely nothing to learn on the job other than to implement the new template which is gleaned from the Arise agenda. and he charged that every item on the Arise agenda which falls under our ministerial responsibility must be handled according to the timelines and handled according to the objectives. He also insisted that every action of government must have a human face, that humanity must remain the central focus of the execution of government business. Of course,
Still to come in the news. 15 companies from Nigeria, others accede to AI ethics code. Do stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Many thanks for staying tuned. We move on now to Africa, where Ghana's parliament has voted to outlaw the death penalty for almost all crimes, becoming the latest African country to repeal capital punishment. The West African country last carried out an execution in 1993, with death sentences handed out for murder and treason. Lawmakers voted late Tuesday to remove the death penalty from the country's statute books. Meanwhile, the prison service said 172 prisoners are currently on death row and will have their terms converted to life imprisonment. Away from that, Malian Prime Minister Choguel Maiga has denounced U.S. sanctions on the Defense Minister, Air Force Chief of Staff and his deputy as a distraction and pledged his total support to the junta officials. Maiga noted that the sanctions against the country's valiant officers, Defense Minister Sadio Kamara, General Arlo Diarra, and Adama Bagayoko, have no objectives other than to distract the Malian people. Reports say the U.S. Treasury imposed sanctions on the three officers for facilitating the expansion of Russia's Wagner Group in Mali. Elsewhere, at least 23 people died in a bus crash in northern Senegal and more than 50 were injured. The bus reportedly overturned in the village of Nguene Sare in the Louga region. The cause is unclear. In a message on Twitter, Senegal's President Macky Sall called for more caution on the roads. Meanwhile, Interior Minister Antoine Diome was due to visit the scene. It would be recalled that in January, 19 people were killed in a collision in the same area, prompting criticisms of the government. Still in Africa, several days of heavy fighting between rival military forces in the Sudanese city of Nyala left at least 30 civilians dead and dozens others injured. The paramilitary rapid support forces, RSF, and allied Arab militias have been trying to take over the main army base in the city, which is the capital of South Darfur state. The army has responded with heavy artillery and shells have hit residential areas. Meanwhile, a human rights worker told newsmen that many people had fled to villages outside the city. He also said the RSF fighters were forcing civilians to hand over their cars. Away from that, the United Nations said it was deeply concerned for the safety of hundreds of migrants stranded in Tunisia following their removal to remote parts of the North African country. The UN said an unfolding tragedy was taking place with migrants, refugees and asylum seekers surviving in dire conditions near the frontiers with Libya and Algeria, while others have been pushed across the border. According to reports, many were displaced from Tunisia's second city, Sfax, following recent unrests, while others were relocated from various urban centers. Earlier this month, as Sfax was rocked by racial violence, authorities loaded hundreds of migrants onto buses and left them stranded in remote desert areas near Algeria and Libya. Meanwhile, the NGO Human Rights Watch said up to 1,200 Africans were expelled or forcibly transferred to the border regions. Still in Africa, Tunisian authorities say hundreds of migrants have drowned off its coast in the first half of this year. Exact figures vary, with media reporting that 901 bodies had been recovered from January to 20th July, while a separate source told newsmen the number stands at 789. Meanwhile, the North African country has become the main departure point for migrants trying to cross the Mediterranean to Europe. Reports say some 75,065 boat migrants had reached Italy by 14th July against 31,920 in the same period last year, according to media citing official data, with more than half of them leaving from Tunisia. Elsewhere, a high court has disqualified 12 members of Zimbabwe's main opposition party from contesting August parliamentary elections. The judge ruled that the Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC, membership applications were submitted after the cutoff time on 21st June, the day when nomination courts sat to receive applications. It means that the ruling ZANU-PF party candidates will be elected unopposed in the 3 seats in the country's second largest city, Bulawayo. previously an opposition stronghold. Reports say an obscure opposition party, the elected Early Democrats EED, challenged the 12 candidates' nominations, arguing that the electoral body had illegally accepted their papers. Meanwhile, a chaotic registration process on 21st June saw scores of mainly opposition candidates' applications rejected because of payment system challenges. Now in Kenya, the government has confirmed a cyber attack on a key government online platform. Reports say the e-citizen portal is used by the public to access over 5,000 government services, which include passport applications and renewals, driving licenses, identification cards, and national health records. It is not conclusively clear who is behind the attack. Meanwhile, various mobile money banking services in Kenya have been trending on Twitter, and Kenyans are expressing their concerns about why the systems are not working. Away from that, the Mauritanian authorities have charged a secondary school student with blasphemy against the Prophet Muhammad. Reports say the prosecutor's office in the capital, Nouakchott, had indicted Maria Sheikh Abdullahi Obed with the charge, which can be punishable by death. The statement from the prosecutor said that a baccalaureate exam paper allegedly considered insulting to the Muslim religion had been discovered in a test center in the northwestern town of Atta. It added that an investigation led to the identification of the suspect and her subsequent arrest. Elsewhere, Algerians in the fire-ravaged northeast were within a week counting the cost of the blazes that killed 34 people, destroyed homes, and reduced vast forest areas to scorched wastelands. The wildfires raged for days, mainly through the mountain forests of the Kabylia region of the Mediterranean coast, fanned by winds during blistering summer heat. Water and electricity remained cut off in wide areas, but aid supplies were arriving. According to reports in the small village of Eid al-Sala, 16 people were killed as they tried to flee the flames, according to witnesses, pointing out that they made up 10% of the village population. Tahar Chibane, aged 35, from the town of Eid al-Sala, lost several family members and almost all of his farmlands. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has condemned the coup d'etat in Niger. A statement posted on the website of the ECOWAS Commission said the bloc received the news of the military incursion with shock and consternation. It said it would hold all those involved in the plot responsible for the security and safety of the president, his family, members of the government, and the public. The Commission added that the international community would do the same. Meanwhile, a group of soldiers who appeared on the West African nation's national television late on Wednesday said the Niger President Mohamed Bazoum had been removed from power. The soldiers made the assertion hours after the presidential guard had the president under house arrest in the presidential palace, a move typical of military coups. Meanwhile, the EU has suspended all security cooperation with Niger after the country's army took power in a coup. It comes shortly after the US declared its unflagging support for ousted President Mohamed Bazoum, seen as a key Western ally in the fight against Islamist militants. On Friday, the head of the Presidential Guards Unit, General Abdul Rahman Chiani, declared himself Niger's new leader. He said insecurity, economic woes, and corruption led him to seize power. But there are now concerns in the West about which countries the new leader will align with. Niger's neighbors, Burkina Faso and Mali, have both pivoted towards Russia since their own coups. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell joined the US and France in refusing to recognize the coup leaders and said security cooperation and budgetary aid was being suspended indefinitely. Also on Saturday, the African Union called on the Niger army to return to base within 15 days. On the foreign scene, the general in charge of Ukraine's tottering counteroffensive in the south, Alexander Tanavsky, has said that Russian defenses are making it difficult for military equipment, including Western tanks and armored vehicles, to move forward. Tanavsky said his forces are struggling to overcome multi-layered minefields and fortified defensive lines. He added that Russia's military has displayed professional qualities by preventing Ukrainian forces from advancing quickly. Still on the foreign scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that Russia and African countries will deepen their cooperation, particularly in the sphere of education. Putin made this known during a plenary session at the Economic and Humanitarian Forum in St. Petersburg. According to him, Russia's leading universities will be opening branches on the African continent, noting that more than 10,000 medical students are currently studying in Russia. He added that training centers for primary school teachers will also be opened in 28 countries on the continent. Away from that, French President Emmanuel Macron denounced new imperialism in the Pacific during a landmark visit to the region, warning of a threat to the sovereignty of smaller states. Macron, speaking in Vanuatu on the first visit by a sitting French leader to an independent Pacific island state, sought to offer a French alternative in a region where the US and China are competing for influence. China is seeking to expand its influence in the South Pacific, notably making inroads in Solomon Islands, with which it signed a secretive defense pact last year. Beijing also maintains sweeping contested claims over the South China Sea. Reports say the United States, the dominant military force in the South Pacific since World War II, has responded by announcing new aid, opening embassies in the region and signing pacts, including a recent defense deal with Papua New Guinea. Macron said he felt free to issue the warning over major powers' ambitions in the Pacific because they recognize their colonial past in Vanuatu. In the meantime, as North Korea marks the 70th year of Victory Day, the Russian Minister Sergei Shoigu and a Chinese delegation led by a Communist Party Politburo member met in North Korea for the celebration of the end of the Korean War. Reports say Russia's defense minister accompanied North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to a defense exhibition that featured the North's banned ballistic missiles as the neighbors pledged to boost ties. Recall that the nuclear-capable missiles were banned under UN Security Council resolutions adopted with Russian and Chinese support. Meanwhile, Russia, China are the first prominent visitors North Korea has had since COVID pandemic, and North Korea has backed Russia's battle for justice. Now in business, the Artificial Intelligence AI Ethics Code has received further global boost as 15 companies from 12 countries, including Nigeria, joined the International Technology Watchdog at the ongoing Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum in St. Petersburg, Russia. In addition to Nigeria, the companies came from Zambia, Cyprus, Senegal, Uganda, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Israel, Mozambique, Mali, Kenya, and South Africa. Developed by the AI Alliance, the code represents a large community of artificial intelligence experts comprising almost 200 organizations. Speaking on the development, Alexander Vendyakin, first deputy chairman of the executive board of Bank of Russia, stated that over 180 Russian companies and organizations have already joined the code, and today participation in the code has expanded to include 15 new companies from 12 countries. Though he did not elaborate on the identity of the companies, he stated further that it is crucial that various organizations pay attention to the issues of AI ethics and the responsible development of new technologies, which will give an impetus to their advance in the world. The code was developed by the AI Alliance in cooperation with academic community, with the support of the Ministry of Economic Development of the Russian Federation and the Analytical Center of the Government of the Russian Federation. Russian companies including Bank, Yandex, MTS, VK, Gazprom Neft, the Russian Direct Investment Fund, and other leading companies and institutions were among the first to sign the document. The Naira has depreciated to 768.6 per dollar in the investors and exporters I&E window. Data from FMDQ showed that the indicative exchange rate for the investors and exporters I&E window rose to 768.6 Naira per dollar from 740.08 Naira per dollar from Tuesday, indicating 28.52 Naira depreciation for the Naira. Similarly, the Naira depreciated to 870 Naira per dollar in the parallel market from 867 Naira per dollar on Wednesday, indicating 3 Naira depreciation. Consequently, the gap between the official and parallel market exchange rates widened to 101.4 Naira per dollar from 126.92 Naira per dollar on Wednesday last week. Still in business, the National Information Technology Development Agency NIDA has called on startups in the country to adopt disruptive technologies that can solve local and global problems in their operations. Director General NIDA Kashifu Inuwa gave the charge in Abuja at the 19th edition of the ICTL Expo organized by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry LCCI with the theme Tech Disruption, Transforming Industries with Innovation. According to a statement issued by Hadiza Omar, NIDA's head, Corporate Affairs and External Relations, the NIDA boss urged startups to think big while trying to provide solutions, adding that the mindset of solving problems should be expanded to solve global issues. Inoua said only a disruptive technology could help them achieve such feats. Inoua said the combination of existing data, unlimited connectivity and massive processing power could give tech innovators the leverage to disrupt anything they want to achieve. While citing the success story of Flutterwave, Inoua said the company saw a big gap and decided to fill it by using technological solutions that connect business-to-business transactions. He therefore advised startups to focus more on providing solutions that can, in turn, generate money. Still to come in the news. Bayern Sadio Mane set to join Ronaldo at Saudi's Al Nassr. To stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Now in health, the federal government has expressed concern over the growing number of Nigerian children between the ages of 5 and 11 working under hazardous conditions across the country. The federal government lamented that 39% of Nigerian children are engaged in the worst form of child labor and are used quarrying granite, artisanal mining, commercial sexual exploitation, armed conflict, and sometimes become victims of human trafficking. The Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, in a statement by its Director of Press and Public Relations, Olajide Oshundun, said the figures reflected the degree of urgency required by the various actors working to stop child labor to proffer solutions to the reduction and possible elimination of the act in Nigeria and globally. The statement highlighted some of the challenges in ending child labor in Nigeria to include poverty, culture, religion, poor educational system, inadequate social protection systems, wrong perception, and ignorance. Still in health, mental health experts have asked Nigerians not to indulge in the use of drugs and substances to cope with the current dire economic situation in the country. They said what Nigerians need to do is to develop coping strategies and abilities to help them navigate the unpleasant and traumatic experiences plaguing the country. The medical director of the Facility of Psychology, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Lagos, Dr. Olubenga Owoye, in an address centered on the need for Nigerians to have renewed hope, said a lot of mental health conditions are occurring in recent days, stressing that clinical psychologists have a role to play in raising awareness on how Nigerians can cope with the current situation. Now in sports, Bayern Munich announced on Saturday that Senegalese striker Sadio Mane was in talks about a change of club, with reports suggesting he was destined for Saudi side Al Nassr. The German champions left Mane out of a friendly match in Tokyo, posting on social media that Sadio Mane is in contract negotiations about a change of club and is therefore not in the lineup. The 31-year-old former Liverpool star is expected to become the latest high-profile player to join the cash-rich Saudi league. Mane would be another major signing for the club that pulled off the first coup of a raft of signings by Saudi clubs, luring Cristiano Ronaldo, the five-time Ballon d'Or winner. Mane won the Champions League and Premier League in 6 seasons with Liverpool and was a key part of Jurgen Klopp's devastating front three with Mohamed Salah and Roberto Firmino. Meanwhile, Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola says the Saudi Pro League's financial clout has changed the market for transfers and elite clubs need to be aware of what is happening. After luring Portugal star Cristiano Ronaldo to Saudi Arabia in December, the league has attracted several big-name players this summer. That group includes Algeria's Riyad Mahrez, who left City to join Al Ahly. City agreed to sell Mahrez in a deal worth up to £30 million, while Alan Saint-Maximin is set to become the next player to leave the Premier League for Saudi Arabia when he joins Mahrez at Al Ahly. Bayern Munich's Sadio Mane is also in talks over a potential move, having received an offer from Al Nassr, while reigning Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema has already followed former Real Madrid teammate Ronaldo to Saudi Arabia. According to Guardiola, during City's pre-season tour of Asia, it is not about the threat from Saudi Arabia. It is a reality that they want to create a strong league, adding that so far they are the league who can do it. But in sport, Demi Vollering claimed victory on the 7th stage of the Tour de France to put herself in a strong position to win the yellow jersey. Valoring powered through the mountain top fog to win the 89.9 kilometers stage in 2 hours 52 minutes 43 seconds. The Dutch woman leads the overall standings by 1 minute 50 seconds from Poland's Katarzyna Niewiadoma with only the individual time trial left. Now, still in sports, Turkey has requested to merge its bid to host Euro 2032 with Italy, potentially boosting the UK and Republic of Ireland's chances of hosting the tournament in 2028. While Italy had only bid for the 2032 tournament, Turkey had bid to host both Euro 2028 and 2032. Turkey's solo bid for 2028 remains as a rival to the UK and Republic of Ireland's five-nation bid. UEFA will choose the hosts for both tournaments on 10th October. It is likely that Turkey will not officially withdraw from the bidding process for Euro 2028 until their joint bid is approved by UEFA. But if and when that does happen, the UK and Ireland bid would be left unopposed. The Italian Football Federation FIGC said the decision to merge with Turkey followed a complex and fruitful consultation process and pointed to other successful joint bids at previous Euros, the upcoming World Cup in 2026 in the US, Canada and Mexico, and the UK and Republic's bid for 2028. And on the entertainment scene, popular Hollywood actress Michelle Yeoh has tied the knot with businessman Jean Todt 19 years after he popped the question. Yeoh, aged 60, walked down the aisle in Geneva, Switzerland, surrounded by loving friends and family. The news of their marriage was shared by ex-Ferrari Formula One driver Felipe Massa after he posted pictures of the couple and their wedding program via Instagram. However, the lovebirds are yet to make any posts or public comments about their wedding. Still on entertainment, Barbie, which is said to have already taken over the box office, has now conquered the UK music charts too through its soundtrack. Tracks by Billie Eilish, Dua Lipa and Nicki Minaj have stormed straight into the top 5 since the pink-tinged blockbuster's release 1 week ago. And they were not the only songs from the star-studded album to hit the chart. Bosses of the official singles chart say it is the first time 3 tracks from a soundtrack have reached the top 5 at the same time, and they say it made history with a total of 6 tracks in the top 40. Still on entertainment, the Emmy Awards, which had been due to take place in September, have been postponed due to Hollywood strikes. Members of the Writers Guild of America and Screen Actors Guild are striking in the biggest walkout for 60 years. It means those in the unions cannot work or do any publicity, so cannot appear at awards shows. A new date for the 2023 ceremony has not been confirmed, but organizers want to wait until an agreement has been reached with TV companies. An Emmy is the most prestigious U.S. prize in television, with Succession, The Last of Us, The White Lotus, and Ted Lasso leading this year's nominees. And finally, on entertainment, Randy Meisner, the U.S. bassist and singer who co-founded the rock band Eagles, has died at the age of 77. Meisner helped form the group in 1971, taking lead vocals on the track Take It to the Limit, which he also co-wrote. He contributed large high harmonies to the California group's mega hit Hotel California and The Best of My Love. His death was confirmed on Thursday on Eagles' official website, who described him as integral and instrumental in their early success. Meisner reportedly died of complications from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News. My name is Xavier Robert. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.